So everybody needs to really wake up. This is the first week of January, and they are already posing a major offensive against all freedoms of all people throughout this planet, and it's being centered out of New York City.
Okay.
Well, New York has always been their capital, really, in terms of their monetary powers.
Oh.
And the city of New York gave NYC Incorporated a agreement so that they could conduct business in New York City. And then from there, NYC gave the UN permission to set up shop in New York City. So the reason that the UN is in New York is simply that. And the entire business is not approved by any Congress of ours or any state of ours.
Nope.
So I think it's important for people to realize that these people that we're contending with are liars.
Mm-hmm.
They're like professional illusionists, actors, and they contrive to make everybody think that they are obligated to obey them. But we're not obligated to obey them, not at all. They're obligated to obey us. They've got it exactly turned around backwards. And as long as you have it fixed in your mind what their obligations are, and you tell them what their obligations are, then they are liable. So you just have to be harder-headed than they are. The other part of this is that they entice us, they sucker us into coming into their courts. We do not need to go into their courts, all right? Your average America, nobody needs to go to their courts for any reason, period. The only reason that you need to deal with them is if you are involved in the interstate manufacture, sale, or trade of alcohol, tobacco, or firearms. You're not engaged in those businesses. They have no reason to address them, and you have no reason to visit them. Just remember, they are trying to get you to come into their courts so that they can pillage you. They are misaddressing you as if you were a corporate franchise belonging to them. It's a scheme, it's a con game, it's a racket. Stay out of their courts. And don't be at all shy about doing that. I've already given you the means by which you can meet the requirement of the law so that you're not in contempt of court, so that you're not in their jurisdiction, and so that you cannot be held liable for not answering them.
And that's in that article, What to Do, right?
Right, what to do. That's how you answer the municipals. And if they turn around and they readdress you under your upper and lowercase name, you do the same thing with the territorial government, and you just simply say, return service, no territorial office or officer present. That's the end of it. You don't need to do or say anything more. Just get that message delivered to the clerk of court.
Even in a criminal case, Anna?
Even in a criminal case, you are not subject to them. They are subject to you. The only place that they have a toehold is that they set up their little court building. And if you walk into their court building, then they can say that you granted them jurisdiction. So the name of the game is the moment that you get anything from them, you just write on top of it, send it back to the court, keep a copy for your records. It's that simple. Don't get drawn in. Don't start arguing with me. First and foremost, you have to realize municipal citizens are under a prior judgment. They are prejudged. so that they have already agreed that no matter what, they are accepting the debt. They are guilty by definition. Read the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. It's gobbledygook, but read it. That's what the territorial government has been operating under for the last 160 years. Municipal citizens, by definition, are guilty, and they are criminals, and they are slaves. And that's what they've got you pegged at. So either stand up as Americans and let forth and really give them hell, or that's what you are. You're going to be stuck with every debt. You're going to have to put up with every kind of injustice for every endeavor until you get up on your hind quarters and say, enough of this. These people are my employees. And they're not going to treat me like this anymore. Get your paperwork in order, notify the Bureau of Consular Affairs, notify the U.S. Department of State, notify the Secretary of State in your state of state, and that should be all you ever need to say or do again. Unless, of course, you decide to go into their jurisdiction on purpose and start dealing in things like alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
Okay, good to know. That's very loud and clear.
Well, I'm just tired of it. I get hundreds of pleas from people all over this country who are caught in the coils of this snake-like thing, desperately trying to make answer to these lawyers who are harassing and pillaging at will. And they're getting away with it because, number one, you go into their courts, and number two, you don't know how to reply to them. So I've given you the answer in an article called What to Do. You've got two options. And what you do is entirely up to you. The moment they send you anything addressed to the all capital letters name, you follow the instructions in that article and you send it back to the clerk of court. Send it by priority express mail so that you have the tracking. And that's it.
Great, good. That's great because, a lot of people think, well, they're especially in criminal cases, they'll say a warrant will be issued for your arrest.
Right, but the fact is they're addressing a non-existent person and have no right to misaddress it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you throw that back in their face, using their own language, they don't have much to go on, do they?
Not really.
You lied to them, so they can't say that you're contempting. You're not in contempt. You replied. And that's that. If they continue to harass you, then you just say, look, you're addressing this to a non-existent entity. I have no obligation to answer for any non-existent foreign entity. And if I do, you better show it to me right now. Either that or get up and shut up.
Because they're obligated to produce the evidence that that thing exists.
Right.
But it's only a thing.
Right.
A fictional.
It's hokum. It's a fictional legal person. It has nothing to do with you. You don't own it. You don't benefit from it. It is an absolute Trojan horse and a thing that they just created out of black magic and bullshit. So throw it right back at them. Give them no mercy. Oh yes, and why do you think that this thing is me? Why do you think it has anything to do with me?
It does.
They're the ones making the claim. They have to come forward and show. Same thing with the patrolman on the highways. Officer, what's the agency? Why did you stop me? Am I under arrest? Blah, 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 blah. License and registration, please. Why would you think I would have a license and registration? I don't answer questions, officer. Either arrest me or don't. Do you have some cause? Do you have some probable cause to think that I'm engaged in commercial activity? Oh, no? You know, do you see any passengers for hire? No? What's that in the back seat? A sack of groceries? You think that's commerce? Hello? These bastards have got to be held accountable. And you're the only ones who can hold them accountable. You need to have very frank talks with all these policemen, with all these mayors, with all of these representatives in their legislature, and also with their congressional delegations.